You're listening to the Telltale Channel. In this podcast, Roseanne is apparently on tour with Tucker Carlson right now. She seems to think that the Democrats are literal vampires. I'm not joking. That's what she said. Literal vampires. New conspiracy unlocked. Oklahoma Superintendent Ryan Walters is requesting $3 million to purchase Bibles for classrooms so teachers can teach from them. I wonder if he'll be able to get that done before his impeachment hearings. Julie Green says Trump needs to start listening to real prophets because God has a message for him. He's being misled by false prophets. The real prophet who has a message for him is Julie Green, of course. So let's talk about some of the times when she was egregiously and hilariously wrong. We also take voicemails. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 1-800-701-8573. Also, check out my newsletter. You can sign up for my newsletter on my website, owenmorgan.com. You'll get alerts about, my books and when they release and what they're about and things. Also, possibly some sneak peeks at things. I'm trying to do more with the subscriber, the email subscriber list, because, it's pretty expensive to maintain every month, but it's a lot of work. By the way, guys, I meant to tell you, I don't know if you guys use Discord, but I'm on Discord for 30 minutes before the Sunday stream every Sunday. I have been for 5 years. I get on Discord and I get in a voice chat and I just talk to people there for 30 minutes before the streams. Gives me an opportunity to kind of tweak my settings and make sure that my audio is working and my video and everything else. So yeah, you guys ever want to come to the VC, feel free. I think it's owenmorgan.com/discord. A link is in the description anyway. And yeah, you'll see it there. I will everybody here. It's at 7:30 p.m. on Sundays Eastern. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hi, Owen. My name is Dick. I'm from Rhode Island. I've called you a few times. But anyway, still love the show. I plan on purchasing your book. But anyway, there was a meetup in Mystic, Connecticut. And as you know, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all that fun. The fun states up here in the Northeast are...
Yeah, I lived in Connecticut, and I went to Mystic Seaport, the museum there, when I was little on a school field trip.
Relatively liberal. And there was even a guy in a KKK uniform in this rally. They were calling people literally the F slur, the bunch of trans slurs. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were on this. Thank you, and keep doing the great work.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that are just morally debased. They have no bottom. They're willing to say and do whatever. And it is disturbing to know that we have Klan members around that are doing things like that, holding events and stuff. I've mentioned before, but since we're talking about it, let me mention again. I used to live in Milton, West Virginia. One morning, I wake up and I walk out to find this pamphlet, this pamphlet in a baggie with rice. It's the original Night Riders, the KKK, was throwing these pamphlets at people's doors. And the rice is there so they can chuck it from the car. They just go down the road and throw. So anyway, on the back of the pamphlet, it said Islamization of America. And it just, propaganda. It lied about a whole bunch of stuff. They are replacing God with Allah in the Pledge of Allegiance in schools, and just so stupid. Anyway, it's crazy to me that these people are out and proud and that they're not hanging their heads in shame. It blows me away that they feel so comfortable that they can just brazenly be open about who they are like this without complete social ostracization. You know why they wear that hood, though? I found this out not too long ago. They wear that hood because it obscures their height. It makes them, it contributes to anonymity, basically. Makes it harder to identify them, which is the point, right? used to go around burning crosses on people's lawns and stuff, marking them, threatening them, maybe even killing them, lynching them. And they didn't want to be identified, so they wore the hoods. Yeah, it's just bizarre to me that people can hold those types of events in Connecticut openly without complete social ostracization. Thanks for the voicemail. Just for one more thing, for the record, the KKK is not the only group that uses those hoods, and they're not the origin of the hood either. I think there's some Catholic tradition that uses those hoods. I forget. What's it called? Capriote? Yeah, I think that's it. A capriote is a Catholic pointed hat of conical form that is used in Spain and Hispanic countries by members of a confraternity of penitents. It's part of the uniform of such brotherhoods, including the Nazarenos. Okay, awesome name. Nazarenos and Phariseos during Easter observances and reenactments. And reenactments in some areas during Holy Week in Spain and its former colonies. Those similar hoods are common in other Christian countries such as Italy. So, yeah, they wear those pointed hats, and it's pretty crazy to see. It's just part of like the whatever, the celebration. Let me just show it. I'll pull it up here. Hang on. Here you go. Here's one of them. Here you go. More of them. That is wild, right? Wait, what's this? Is this one the KKK, the actual KKK? No, I think this is the Catholic one still. Wild, huh? Anyway, yeah. I saw a video forever ago of a black couple sitting on a balcony videotaping this and turning the camera and going, like, it's funny. They were making a joke of it. And yeah, I wanted to know why why people were doing that. That's nuts.
Hey, Owen, this is Josh from Florida. I'm just calling to kind of like complain about the school system down here. I'm in college, and in my humanities class today, the teacher said that the whole world asks, like, does God exist? And he said if you say no to that, in a long roundabout way, basically, he came to the conclusion that we're the same as animals. So if
Yeah, it's disturbing and messed up that a teacher is doing this in class, but we'll get to it. I'll let the caller continue.
So if you say, no, God doesn't exist, then you agree that having sex with animals is okay,
You had to censor some of it. You get the idea.
that grown men having kids is okay. Like, he was literally forcing people in class to go the yes route. God does exist. That religion keeps us, like, together or something. I don't know. But then he also said that if you do no, they'll try to put you in a cage. They did that to us 4 years ago, metaphorical cages. So I guess he's an anti-vaxxer or what, masker, whatever you call it. But gotta love Florida, man. It is just going to hell. Thank you.
Yeah, just going to hell, as Trump would say. It's not just Florida. My kid has dealt with it, teachers trying to indoctrinate their students throughout her entire time in school, the whole time. Specifically in middle school, it was really bad in middle school, and they were absolutely insane. In high school, even, though, in New York City, there's been some of that. Like teachers, well, teacher, really, not teachers, plural, but singular teacher, for the sake of anonymity, I'm not going to like drag anybody down or anything, but she is a full blown conspiracy theorist, as far as I can tell. Full blown conspiracy theorist. Like she says things about like vaccines and the government keeping you dumb and Jesus nonstop. She's in the school system to praise Jesus and to bring students to him and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, anyway, it happens. And it's illegal, but it happens anyway. Because we're in a culture in which that kind of thing is not like punished. Nothing happens. People do that and they feel comfortable with it, like the KKK. There was a point in time where they were super comfortable burning crosses on people's lawns. I don't think that they're as comfortable doing that nowadays. They have very much lost favor, the KKK has. But, they used to run entire towns. They used to control everything. And if you were not white, then you weren't welcome there. I mean, real insane, crazy stuff. So until our culture changes to one that doesn't accept that kind of thing from teachers, like it changed to not accept cross burnings, we're not going to make any progress. We just have to call it out when we see it. That's all. But at least you are aware of what's happening. That's one point in the favor of separation of church and state. People being aware of what's happening.
Hey, it's Liz from Minnesota, and I know this is a really, really, really small nitpick, but I noticed that in one of the video you posted on Sunday the 15th, you said the word Eskimo and referring to Inuit or something. I don't know if you were saying that as a quote, but I don't think that word is I think Inuit might be the more proper term. I don't know. I haven't researched the subject well enough, but I think that's how it is. I don't know. Have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You are correct. It should be Inuit because that's the tribe. I was under the impression that Eskimo was just a different tribe in the region, but no, it's just been deprecated. I guess the word is supposed to be Inuit, so I didn't want that to slip by. I wanted to make sure that I addressed it. I said something about basically, I said that Eskimos have 12 words for snow, and it was just a joke. I don't even know if that's true, but thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Another problem that I have is I'm gonna say it for the sake of understanding. I'm obviously doing my best not to be, offensive or anything, but I'm reading a lot about World War II and Jehovah's Witnesses and the different religious groups that were persecuted by the Nazis. And one of those groups is the Gypsies. Now, I understand that overseas you're not supposed to say that. It's not well understood or not. It's not really a problem here in the United States as much. Most people don't realize that they're actually Roma. That's the name of the culture. It's the Roma people. But that's reasonably new, using the term Roma. All of the books that I've read on World War II, they all use the original name. And they were I don't have a book on World War II that's newer than 2003. Maybe I have one or two that might be older, or I'm sorry, might be newer. Most of them are from 1970s, 80s, 90s, and maybe early 2000s. And they use that word freely because it's just, it's a description of what happened. That's what was in the Nazi documentation and everything. So anyway, some things are offensive, some things aren't. Some things change from non-offensive to offensive. You just got to be aware of it. So anyway, gypsy is a slur since been used negatively. Yeah, that's what I've come to understand. Anyway, I'm writing about it, not that specifically, just religion generally in World War II. And I haven't come to a part where I would have to reference that group, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do in my book if I do come to that point. Maybe make a clarification so people know. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. The point is, I appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, I should be using Inuit instead.
Hey, Owen, this is Jordan from South Carolina. I've called in a few times before. I just wanted to make a little comment on, we're talking about Tim Pool being a Russian asset, which is something I'm sure we all saw coming. You're looking at the video of him and talking about Kamala and Black America. And he said, oh, I wonder what's under that beanie. Up under Tim Pool's beanie is probably a white hood. Thanks, man. Have a good one. Keep it up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Actually, we don't have to wonder what's under Tim Pool's beanie. We know what's under his beanie. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Check it out. It's me. Look, it's me. Usually, when I see that, I'm live streaming and I can see myself waving, but no. Hey, this is me too. Here we go. I'm going to take your hat when I see you, and you're not getting it back. Are you being serious, or is that a joke?
I'm looking for Tim Pool. Have you seen him? I don't even know who that is. Is Tim Pool around there? Yeah. I'm going to steal his hat. It's a moment of truth. Definition of the word big.
And noticeable.
All right, all right.
Yeah, that's that. I think that that's technically, that's violating personal space, taking somebody's things or messing with them. I don't condone that. But somebody did it, and now we know what's under that beanie. So,
Have a good day. Bro, you come near me ever again, you won't have any teeth. You understand that? I understand.
guy, I understand his upset. I get it. So I'm not gonna blame him for being upset.
Of the word big.
Boom. There you go. Now we know. Anyway, sorry. He looks so different, right? Without a beanie? That's crazy how different he looks. Wow. Yeah, thanks for the voicemail on that one. Not a white hood, even better.
Hi, Owen. It's me, Congress only, Alex, Michigan, running for city commission. So let you know, I did a business walk this weekend, talking to all of the businesses in my ward that were open. And the last guy I got to, I spent an hour with him, and he came up with almost every conspiracy that you have talked about in the past couple of years about Republicans, and brought it up as hard facts. And it is wild to me that he didn't peg me directly as someone who was against that stuff. Like, we're talking Hunter Biden laptop, Davos World Order. We're talking stuff that's just like, I just completely absent of reality. So just want to give you an update on how crazy that went. Have a good day.
Yeah, absolutely nuts, man. Some people that I come across are just like the nicest people, the most honest, genuine, good people, But they believe in the craziest stuff, like the Great Reset, and really esoteric stuff too, like the details of the Great Reset, like the specifics of it, or specifics of the first QAnon post ever. It's like you had to have researched for like literal days to come across some of the stuff that you believe if you like buy into all that. It's just nuts, man. Some people have too much time on their hands and are too conspiracy brained to know any better. You know how I know when a conspiracy is real or when it's fake? I'll tell you. If there is evidence for the conspiracy, then I'll believe it. And here's why I say that. The torture program that was run by the United States in Iraq was the most protected, top secret thing imaginable. If that got out, it meant it could mean George W. Bush was charged as a war criminal, because if he, gave the order or whatever, a whole bunch of people all the way up the chain could be charged as a war criminal by the International Criminal Court, The Hague. I mean, that is need to know stuff. And that got out. And it didn't even take that long. If there is something going on, it will come out. It will. I mean, Edward Snowden released the files about PRISM that revealed that the government was like recording everything that everybody was doing, basically. Remember? Now, what would be involved in a conspiracy? How many people would you have keeping their mouths shut in a conspiracy to prevent anyone from realizing that the earth is really flat, for example? You'd have to have telescope manufacturers, globe manufacturers, airline pilots, researchers of all sorts, everybody, the entire math research segment of academia, and physics research segment. They'd all have to be in on this, secretly lying to you. The more people have to know about it to make it happen, the less likely it is that it's a conspiracy that hasn't been uncovered. The idea that COVID was bioengineered or whatever specifically to hurt people, there's no evidence of it. And if it were true, there would be evidence. It would have come out. Like, even in China, they're trying to not say anything about COVID, trying to prevent anyone from finding out that COVID was going on in China. And people found a way anyway, despite the Chinese safeguards against, the censorship, despite the censorship. So the point is that if it's secret, it will almost certainly eventually come out with evidence. There is zero evidence that COVID was bioengineered specifically as a bioweapon to blah, 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 blah. No evidence for that. Zero evidence that the vaccine, hurts people en masse. Zero evidence that it was intentionally designed to hurt people or whatever. Zero evidence for the Great Reset or any of the other stuff. That's how I know when a conspiracy theory is fake. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for the calls. Appreciate that. Next up, Roseanne is apparently on tour with Tucker Carlson right now. She seems to think that the Democrats are literal vampires. I'm not joking. That's what she said. Literal vampires. New conspiracy unlocked. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. You guys remember Roseanne here, right? She was on that TV show in the 90s. She's doing a media tour telling people that Democrats are literal vampires. Literal vampires. New conspiracy unlocked. Listen to what she said. She's on tour with Tucker Carlson right now.
They overthrew the constitutional republic of the United States of America.
Intensity ramped up to 10.
And then they covered it up with their January 6th bomb.
Oh my God, dude.
With their insurrection.
You know what's really sad about this? She's for real. This is real. She really believes this stuff. She's not pretending. I believe Tucker Carlson is pretending. I don't think he believes any of this. Of course he doesn't. She genuinely believes like the QAnon stuff. Just keep listening here and she'll like get into it. Listen to this other section. This may actually be another clip from like a different Tucker appearance, but listen here.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's
Oh my God.
not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood. They do.
That is insane. Roseanne, please get help. For real. She says it with such confidence, like she's 100% sure this is true. You know, I suppose it's possible that maybe there are vampires out there. I'm open to that possibility. Sure, maybe. You've got to come with some hard evidence, like watching somebody do it to make claims like this. And for the record, these conspiracy theories, they have their root in one specific document I'll talk about in a minute.
The time we go in to vote for Trump, that he will open up everybody's eyes and they will stop pretending to be asleep. You know what they say? You can't wake people up that are pretending to be asleep, but I pray to God, please wake up even those who are pretending to be asleep with.
Well, they're not asleep if they're pretending is the problem, right? So God can't wake them up because they're not asleep. What is she talking about? I don't understand. What does this even mean?
Be asleep with the irrefutable truth of what the worst people on this planet are really up to. They are really up to that. They're doing it. There are so many victims. There are so many victims.
Oh my God, dude. Anyway, yeah, she's been talking about this for a while, actually. This is not, by any stretch of the imagination, her first time dipping her toes in this weird pond, if you will. Watch this one. This is from Alex Jones, March 4th, 2023.
And if we would harness all that hate that we've used on each other, if we would take it away from each other and harness it on evil, we could destroy evil in the...
Well, when she says that, she means take away the hate we have for each other and direct it toward Democrats.
Blink of an eye. All that hate we have for the abusers who've put us in jail when we were innocent, who've harmed our children.
What's she talking about?
Who've tortured us, who've stolen from us, who've killed our family. All
Who did this to Roseanne? What are you talking about right now? Who did this? Period. Not even about Roseanne. This is not happening. Get help, please. I'm serious right now.
our family, all of that hate that we feel and are supposed to, drink ourselves to death or drug ourselves to death to deny that we have because we're so loving.
I don't have any hate. I feel sadness for Roseanne, not hate, not anger. I don't need drugs or alcohol to dull a hate. Is there a hate in Roseanne that is only being held back by drugs and or alcohol? That's disturbing.
Which is all BS. If we would focus that on hating evil and what is done to the children of this world by those people who enslave and murder them every day by the thousands and in vampiric satanic acts actually
There you go.
extract and drink their blood as they all talk about right in front of our faces, but we don't hear it because
Look at this is from Alex Jones. Look at the stock footage he shows. She thinks that there are literal vampires, and this isn't like a one-off thing. This isn't like the type of thing where, oh, I misspoke, oopsie daisy. No, she's reaffirmed this multiple times.
but we don't hear it because we think it's a fantasy, but it's not a fantasy. If we would hate that evil with all the hate we have in us, it would.
Like, where the hell did this stock footage come from, honestly? It's a devil-looking guy holding kids' hands and walking around. Like, I don't understand. Who would even film this?
With all the hate we have in us, it would go away and we could stop it. And that's what we're here to do, is to stop that. And I want you all to just know that we have the power to stop everything horrible on this planet if we just hate it enough and love God and each other enough to figure that out. And I pray we do.
Jesus Christ, man. Just hate more. You should be hating more. That is depraved. I listened to a long-form podcast with her, and I think it's her son, where they were talking about how they believe that, well, Roseanne believes that Biden is a clone. And there are a bunch of other clones around of political figures. Those two people, Roseanne and her son, they are vile. They're like vile human beings. They were talking about Kamala Harris and just kept being intentionally racist for the sake of being racist, just because. There wasn't like an underlying point behind it. It wasn't framed up as like a joke. It was pure, unadulterated, blatant, flat out racism. And they were aware that it was racism because they addressed that. They talked about how Kamala Harris got to where she is through her relationships, her romantic relationships, and used vile language the whole time. Like, these are genuinely vile people. It's not like these people are like just misled and incorrect about something. But if we spoke to them and just explained it and got, reasoned with them, maybe we could get them to understand. And there's really a good person in there. No, I don't believe that with Roseanne. I think that there's no bottom. It's just vile, disgusting stuff knocking around in her head, as evidenced by all the things she said on her long format podcast, and the fact that she says we need to hate more. Like, what? Yeah, for what it's worth, though, this is not the first time that this conspiracy theory has been bounced around, not by a long shot. This is Mark Taylor on the left, and a friend of his, Christopher McDonald. He does like a podcast with a bunch of people. Anyway, listen to what Mark Taylor had to say. Just a little bit of lead up to this. At the time that this came out, this is late May 2022, there was a formula shortage, if you remember. I think it's because one of the formula producers had a bad batch or something. They had to destroy it, and there was a massive shortage, and they were trying to import it from European countries, but they have different standards, so we had to go to the FDA, so on and so forth. So there's a formula shortage, which we worked through, and Roe v. Wade hadn't been overturned yet, but the draft opinion leaked and it was about to be overturned. And everybody knew that it was. Listen to what Mark Taylor, prophet of God, by the way, had to say. Famous for prophesying that Donald Trump would be the president.
When politicians go to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, this is why they lose all wisdom. Columbia is another name for Baal, the District of Baal.
I've never heard that. Okay.
They are working for and under the protection of the District of Baal, whose food source is the aborted babies. Do you think it's a coincidence that they are creating a food shortage for us? Did they know ahead of time that we were going after Roe versus Wade? They are going after our food sources because we are going after theirs.
That is disgusting. What is wrong with these people? That these thoughts even enter their heads. Roseanne says that they are literally eating babies. Holy Christ on a cracker, bro.
Beautiful. Which is the babies.
The babies. Do you think it's also tied into this baby formula shortage? Because it's so ironic that we're talking about what you just said.
Food source.
And the food source of babies is now being cut off. It's almost like the devil is trying to starve the babies that are living to death because the aborted issue is about to be cut off very soon.
Holy man, that's crazy. Anyway, the origin of this whole thing is something I've talked about before, so I'm not going to go into depth on it. In fact, I may just insert like a basic clip that I created to explain it. But in 1902, there's this document that appeared. It was called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, okay? And it was originally 27 or I think 27 different protocols. It was just like they were each published in newspapers in Tsarist Russia before World War I. They were like this long. And the claim was that these protocols were found on a dead Jewish soldier, and they were originally from the elders of the Jewish community, and they were the Jewish plan for world domination. That's obviously completely made up. It was not found on a dead Jewish soldier. It was fabricated almost certainly by the Okhrana, which was the predecessor to the KGB. In 1905, it was published all of them were published in a book called The Protocols of the Meetings of the Learned Elders of Zion. That was the name of the book originally. So between 1902 and 1905, they were published in newspapers, and then they were compiled into a book. Now, I have a copy of that book, as a matter of fact. You can find this book on the FBI website because throughout the generations, this book has been reproduced over and over and over again. Hitler mentioned it in his book Mein Kampf. Henry Ford, the guy that invented vehicles, he also made copies of this and mailed them out. He used a printing press to mass produce these. And in the 1970s, there was another person that was printing these out and mailing them to people around the United States. And that's when this copy was mailed in to the FBI and said, hey, somebody is printing these out and sending them out to people if you wanted to look into this. Of course, it's not illegal to own one or print it out or whatever. It's just anti-Jewish propaganda. So what is it exactly? It's anti-Jewish propaganda that dates back thousands of years. Every accusation you'll find against the Jewish community is in this. It's very obviously not written by Jewish people. Let me just show you what I mean. This is Protocol 2. Let me just give this a read, see if any of this sounds familiar to you, okay? We must see to that wars be brought on economic grounds, putting the nations at the mercy of our international agenda, when our international rights of gold will wipe out all national rights. Our employees chosen from the Goyim cattle, Goyim being a derogatory term for non-Jews, kind of like Gentile, except it's like a slur. That's how it's phrased, basically, in this document. Our employees chosen from the Goyim cattle must be of a type that submit to blind and servile obedience to our specialists and advisors who've been trained from childhood to rule the affairs of the world. These are not empty words. Think of the successes we arranged for Darwinism, Marxism, Nietzscheism, etc., To us, the Jews, really? To us, the Jews. Because we didn't know it was Jews before, so they wanted to make sure that we knew that this is Jews that wrote this. So they put that in there. To us, Jews, this is a joke. Seriously, who actually bought this? Who really believed any of this nonsense? What we're reading here with the to us, comma, Jews, comma, this is called Exposition. If you've never heard of Exposition, I'll have this cute redhead explain it for me. Here's this cute redhead explaining Exposition. Check this out.
My favourite part of a film is exposition, which is when one character tells another character something that both of them already know. Gentlemen, you already know that the Raven has struck again. Now, I don't need to remind you that we are cops.
The Raven's a myth. Michael, how long have we known each other? 10 years?
Joey, you're my brother. Longer than 10 years.
Sorry, do I have to call Mom to establish that you and I are siblings?
Don't call Mom.
I'm calling Mom. Hold on.
Hello, Mom?
Mikey, it's me, your elderly and/or Jewish mother.
Yeah,
just calling to say that you're still single and your career's going nowhere.
Mom, listen to me, will you? If I don't catch the Raven, they're gonna close the precinct.
Close the precinct? But it's Christmas.
You think I don't know that? Ghost of a child who died on my first case. And that's how exposition works. But of course, you already knew that. There's a wall there.
This guy is fantastic. By the way, that's the title of the video. Cute Redhead Explains How Movies Work. And it's on the Alistair Beckett King YouTube channel, I think. Anyways, even at the end, this subtle joke here.
You already knew that. There's a wall there.
Even that was just an absolutely on-point joke. In film, there's something called breaking the fourth wall, where the fourth wall is the viewer that's watching. You're breaking the wall there because you're talking to the viewer. When somebody in film talks to the viewer, you're breaking the fourth wall. And he walks right into this wall and says, oh, there's a wall here, after breaking the fourth wall. Everything about this video is on point. Anyway, the point is, back to the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Think of the successes we've arranged for Darwinism, Marxism, Nietzscheism, etc. To us, Jews, comma, it is plain what a destructively blah, blah, blah. Really? The exposition is painfully obvious in this. Anyways, it is plain what a destructively disintegrating force these directives have had upon the minds of the Goyim cattle, that being Darwinism and Marxism and Nietzscheism. Sounding familiar, right? All this stuff about Marxism, just about every conspiracy theory you can think of has come out of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And again, there are somewhere in the range of 27, I think, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. They're all out of order. Yeah, I think there are 27 of them. And it's a whole book. Anyways, the belief that Jews drink blood, or adrenochrome, the idea that evil people are coming to take kids and suck their blood out of their arms like they're sticking a straw in a Capri Sun. That came from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
The White Hats tainted the elites' adrenochrome supply with the coronavirus, and that's why so many members of the elites are getting the coronavirus, if indeed they do have the coronavirus. So adrenochrome is a drug that the elites love. It comes from children. The drug is extracted from the pituitary gland of tortured children.
That was originally an anti-Jewish conspiracy theory called blood libel. QAnon's beliefs, pretty much all of them, came out of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. QAnon, whether they realize it or not, is a rebranded Nazi death cult. Seriously. They may not even know. Cancel culture came out of this. Fear of Marxism and communism and Darwinism, all of it came out of this. Fascinatingly, a reporter discovered that this set of protocols, this book, basically, 80% of it was plagiarized from a French satire book written in 1854. 80% came out of this French satire book that wasn't even about Jews. The idea that Jews control the big banks and the media and everything, something that was actually echoed in Osama bin Laden's letter to America, That's from Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Cancel culture, blood libel about people eating babies or drinking children's blood or whatever. That's from Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Marxism, Darwinism, communism being evil and being used to destroy society. Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Great Replacement Conspiracy, where people are trying to bring in immigrants from other countries to outweigh votes. You know, like Donald Trump has claimed in the past, or Tucker Carlson, the Democrats are bussing in Mexicans to vote in our elections. Completely made up from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
I know that the left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement, if you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. But they become hysterical because that's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it. That's true. The power that I have as an American, guaranteed at birth, is one man, one vote, and they're diluting it. No, they're not allowed to do that. Why are we putting up with this?
Even though a lot of people like Tucker want you to believe that all immigrants are very left-wing, the truth is that Cubans and Venezuelans are not very left-wing. There are lots of Asian immigrants that are not left-wing. There are many Eastern European immigrants that are not left-wing. Anyway, let's imagine that naturalized immigrants by a 60-40 margin vote for Democrats. That means that for every 500,000 immigrants that become citizens, that's only a 100,000 vote margin for Democrats. When you compare that to population growth, when you compare that to people who move between states, it's a drop in the bucket when you talk about bringing people in, having them wait the 5 years before they can request citizenship, and then the additional period to go through that process. If this is how Democrats are trying to win, it's a very stupid strategy.
The idea that they're trying to enslave the world, the Great Reset conspiracy, like all of this stuff is from Protocols. It's all made up nonsense. So I said that it was the Jews' plan for world domination. Let me show you what the actual outlined plan was in this fabricated, plagiarized, fake book about Jews. By the way, source of almost all anti-Semitism over the past 1,000 years, or at least it's all compiled into one source. There's a thing called the Seven Mountains Mandate. Lance Wallnau explains it for us pretty clearly. Just listen to Lance's breakdown of what Seven Mountains dominionism is. This is evangelicals' plan to take over the United States and take it from the hands of just normal people that aren't extremist nutcases. This plan was outlined in the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
3% of the population, roughly 3 to 4% of the population, are radical leftist elites. 30% of the population are evangelical born-again Christians that are inclined to go towards Pentecostal language. I mean, we're really out there. 30% against 3%, but they neutralize the church because they're also in religion. They changed the definition of marriage, so they've taken over family. They've totally taken over academia, so the education institutions are teaching leftist theology.
He's listing the 7 mountains, the 7 pillars of society: education, military, economy, government, so on and so forth. And his whole idea, also the idea of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, was to take control of those areas. Just get your 3% of the people to the top of these areas of society, and you can control everybody else.
They're controlling government right now. They've taken over legacy media, Hollywood, entertainment, and arts.
I mean, who is they in this scenario? Certainly left-wing or left-leaning Jews, right? I mean, who controls Hollywood? It's the Jews, right? That's constantly. That's one of the biggest conspiracy theories that's stuck. Hollywood and entertainment and media and everything is all controlled by the Jews. He is now saying that it's simply people to the left of hunting the homeless for sport, I guess. But at its core, this entire thing is an anti-Semitic conspiracy.
And now they've got Wall Street. This is 3%. 30% of the population is Christian. How is it that 30% are dominated by 3%? They have a worldview for bringing their kingdom here, now. We're told to pray thy kingdom come, but we put it off to the second coming.
Jesus was supposed to have taken control and become the king. You're not supposed to impose your kingdom on society, but okay, whatever.
We put it off. They are organized.
Who is they? Nobody is organized to take this stuff over. This is psychotic. It's a full-blown conspiracy theory trying to whip people into a blood frenzy and freak them out to the point that they are willing to run for office and try to take control of these 7 areas of society.
And we are not. So, God says, I'm going to send you a revival. And we're praying for revival. And as we pray for revival, we think, well, watch what happens. That 30 will become 50%. It doesn't matter, because the guards in the prison control what goes on with the inmates. You could have 75%. And if they control those high places, you still are in suppression, because that's the story of history. So it's not just in having more. We certainly want souls. In eternity, that's the most important thing. And this is, Mario, where a lot of people get confused. Is it the kingdom more important? Is Jesus more important? Isn't souls more important? Of course, this isn't either or. It's both and. We want souls and we want nations. Jesus was promised nations for his inheritance, not just churches.
So anyways, that's the plan for world domination. Evangelical Christians stole this from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, this anti-Semitic conspiracy theory document published in 1905, originally 1902 to 1905, in Tsarist Russia. And you know what else is fascinating? The Middle East absolutely hates Israel. Oh my God, they hate them. Now, there's an explanation for why a lot of Middle Eastern countries don't like Israel, and the explanation is because they've horrifically oppressed and committed genocide on a lot of people in Palestine. But you know what? The Middle East actually hated Israel before Israel, or they hated Jews before Israel even existed as a country. Came into existence about 1947, 1948. But all through the 1900s, specifically during Stalin's reign, Stalin was having the KGB, the USSR's secret police, like the CIA kind of. He was having them pass out copies of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion to all of the countries in the Middle East: Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Palestine, so on and so forth. He's passing them out all over the place for people to read. That's why, that was the original, the heart of the anti-Semitism in the Middle East. And it just grew larger and larger and larger from there. So that should give you a little bit of context for what the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is and how evangelicals are rebranding it to be useful to them. Anyway, this is all just straight out of Nazi propaganda, effectively. And it's just so sad to me to see this just making its rounds once again. It won't die. It just keeps coming back. Fascinatingly, I'm sure most people probably know about QAnon, right? QAnon makes this claim too. QAnon talks about adrenochrome, right? All the time. It's like one of their big issues. There's this thing called frazzle drip. And it's this conspiracy theory about how this, I think he's a senator or congressman at the time, Anthony Weiner. He was arrested for sending inappropriate images to people that were underage, rightfully went to jail for that. When he was arrested, the cops show up, and here's where it goes off into La La Land. The claim is that when the cops show up, they take his laptop and they find a video on there of Hillary Clinton and her aide and Anthony Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin, basically hurting a kid to get the adrenaline pumping so that there's adrenaline in the body and then they drink the blood or whatever. When in reality, that's not how it works. Adrenochrome is like ash in that it doesn't do anything for anybody. It's inert, spent adrenaline. It does nothing. Anyway, that conspiracy theory, frazzle drip, kind of formed out QAnon in a large part. Like, that's what QAnon was built on.
The White Hats tainted the elite's adrenochrome supply with the coronavirus. And
this is Liz Crokin. She was a journalist, and now she's just full-blown QAnoner.
that's why so many members of the elites are getting the coronavirus, if indeed they do have the coronavirus.
She just lied. She has no idea what she's talking about.
So adrenochrome is a drug that
No.
the elites love.
No.
It comes from children. The drug
No.
is extracted from the pituitary gland.
No. She meant adrenal gland, but like she can't even get her story straight. She can't even get her fictitious story straight.
Of tortured children. It's sold on the black market. It's the drug of the elites. It's their favorite drug. It is beyond evil. It's demonic. It is so sick.
And it's fake. Anyway, yeah, frazzle drip. And this guy right here, Stu Peters, full-blown Hitler-supporting Nazi. I don't feel the need to go into it right now. But he has expressed support for the frazzle drip conspiracy theory also.
What did Hillary Clinton mean when she said that she would be sacrificing a chicken to Moloch?
He just selectively pulls words from emails that weren't even, he's just like making things up. I'm sure I don't even need to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Why did 9 of the 12 people who saw the contents of Anthony Weiner's laptop kill themselves?
That didn't happen. It's made up.
I'm supposed to believe that?
No, no one is supposed to believe that. It's fake.
What is frazzle drip?
Do you know what frazzle drip is? Not aware of the specifics about it.
What is adrenochrome?
What is this shit? That's still.
Oh my God, dude. It's so stupid. Yeah, the name Adrenochrome came from the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Funny movie, by the way. But it was never a real drug. It was made up. Here's the QAnon shaman talking about it. You guys remember him, right? From, January 6th. He had the whole shaman getup. This is Channel 4 interviewing the QAnon shaman about it.
There's another faction within the ancient Egyptian hierarchy, and that would be like the people that worship Set. And Set is like the ancient Egyptian form of Satan. Okay, so Satan worship and Saturn worship are one and the same thing. And so there was this ancient form of Saturn worship in ancient Egypt, where what they would do is instead of consuming large amounts of psychoactive plants, which they did do on occasion, but what they did more than anything is they used things like, say, Hebrew children or children of slaves to do these satanic ceremonies of blood sacrifice. And the whole idea is that they terrified their victims to the point to where their victims had an out-of-body experience. And in this out-of-body experience, their body filled with adrenaline, okay? And as their body filled with a bunch of adrenaline, they would end up killing the victim, sacrificing them.
This is all out of someone's head. Who came up with this? Who invented this? The first one. Somebody is like really sick to have come up with all this stuff, really. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, The Sound of Freedom. It was pretty popular, and it was about supposedly a guy that goes off and saves kids in jungles or whatever other thing, based on a true story, but it wasn't actually based on a true story. Well, this is the guy that it was supposedly based on. And Jordan Peterson interviews him about his QAnon stuff.
I'm going to walk through these criticisms, and maybe you could, you can respond to them, and we can get that out of the way before we go deeper into the film and your operations. So your group, and this is Operation Underground Railroad, and tell me if I get anything wrong here, says it devours conspiracy theories, though founder Tom Ballard was criticized for refusing to condemn the QAnon conspiracy theory.
Because he believes it.
I have no idea what the hell that means. Do you know what that's referring to?
Acting like he's stupid or acting like everyone else is stupid because they talk about QAnon.
Yeah, absolutely. We that's a lie on Wikipedia. We have absolutely in our FAQs for years have condemned the majority of what we see with conspiracy theories. So they like to attribute me to the QAnon movement. There may be some truths in there, but there's so many false.
Whoa, okay, now hold on. What truths are there in QAnon? Literally zero. There are no truths about it. Everything that distinguishes QAnon from the rest of the world or from other thought or whatever is fake. Okay, QAnon came into existence in 2017, after that whole Pizzagate thing happened, where they believed that there was like some trafficking ring in Comet Pizza and Ping Pong, whatever the hell it was. And it turns out that there wasn't. There was no like trafficking anything there. They don't even have a basement. Anyway, that's where it came from originally, Pizzagate. QAnon existed after that, but it adopted Pizzagate. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested. That was the very first QAnon prophecy or whatever post. That she's going to be arrested, and you just have to go ask a National Guard member what their orders are, and they'll tell you Hillary Clinton, whatever. Anyway, literally nothing about QAnon is true. Nothing.
Falsehoods on top of that. So our FAQs refute that immediately because it discredits the movement. In fact, I would go so far as to consider that maybe certain people who don't want this known are responsible for some of the conspiracy theories in order to discredit the movement.
Don't want what known, exactly. He just said he's not a QAnoner, and then said the people that are opposed to QAnon are trying to cover up the fact that it's real, right?
And they go too far. They go too far in their assessment of things. But yeah, we absolutely have disavowed what's generally coming out of QAnon.
What is generally coming out of QAnon?
Yeah, well, it says, it's very vague on Wikipedia. It says to condemn the QAnon conspiracy theory. Well, I know perfectly well that there are more than one conspiracy theories, let's say, on QAnon. So I'm
not
even exactly sure what it's referring to. What is there a particular conspiracy theory that you were criticized for refusing to condemn? Do you have any more specific details about that?
I mean, I'm not sure what exactly they're talking about.
He knows what they're talking about. They're talking about frazzle drip and adrenochrome. That's like QAnon's like banner conspiracy theory. When people think QAnon, that's what they think about.
They might be referring to the fact that there's something called adrenochrome where...
Oh, he does know all of a sudden. How about that? Isn't that interesting?
They're taking children's blood and devouring it and so forth.
They are not doing that.
And I've explained my experience with that, and I just did in West Africa and other places. We've seen this in several parts of the continent of Africa, and it's very real. It's very real. This witch.
It is not real.
Doctory. They take these children. They take their organs. They take their blood. They drink it.
Okay. I don't know about like some African tribes or what their rituals are or whatever, but there's no organized effort to extract adrenochrome from children and drink it. That does not exist. Some African tribes might have some ritual about like organs or some other thing. I don't know. But, I automatically distrust literally everything out of this guy's mouth. So I'm going to lean toward that doesn't exist. Certainly not anymore. Willing to be proven wrong on that. Okay, I'm done with this guy. The point is that this conspiracy theory about vampires drinking blood, eating babies, and all that stuff, it's been around for a long time. And it's absurd to hear somebody like Roseanne just bust it out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere, really. This has been building since 1902. And they're just building off of Nazi propaganda. QAnon is a revived Nazi death cult. They may not even realize that. They may not know the ties that their beliefs have to the Nazi ideology. But that's what it is. It's just one more from Liz Crokin, QAnoner extraordinaire.
There's a lot of evidence and symbolism with Tom Hanks. I mean, you could go look at some of the work he's done. You can look at some of the skits he's done on Saturday Night Live. You can look at...
Yeah, see, comedy skits are evidence that he's eating babies.
Some of the movies he's been in, and that there's a lot of symbolism in the work that he's done. I think one of the first movies he did was something about a red shoe. I can't remember the title. Sorry.
Oh, that's another conspiracy, that people that take advantage of children can't help themselves but to signal to everybody else in the world that that's what they're doing. Like, I don't know, God is forcing them to signal it. Why wouldn't God just protect the kids in the first place? You got me. But I guess he's forcing them to signal that they are part of this ring by making them wear red shoes. or having kids wear red shoes or whatever other thing. Seriously, who comes up with this? This is grotesque, vile. Who sits there and thinks about this 24/7?
I'm sure you'll write it in the comments, but it was a movie about red shoes. We know that red shoes are significant, symbolic to the occult because they make leather red shoes out of baby's skin.
No? What is she talking about? Where did this come from? The thing is, I don't even think that she came up with this. Somebody else did. Some other person is sitting there writing this down, and these poor fools are believing it. Jesus Christ, man. And we tell you to think about it in the comments. Roseanne needs help. Really. She needs help. Next up, Oklahoma Superintendent Ryan Walters is requesting $3 million to purchase Bibles for classrooms so teachers can teach from them. I wonder if he'll be able to get that done before his impeachment hearings. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
And so that $3 million ask is provided in the budget in front of you. That would be in conjunction with the $3 million that we're putting forth currently to provide Bibles in the classroom. So this would give us the ability to utilize $6 million in less than 2 years to ensure that the Bible hasn't been driven out of Oklahoma classrooms, and would be a significant step for the state of Oklahoma to ensure that we're not allowing the left to censor American history.
This is Ryan Walters. If you're unfamiliar, he's the superintendent over all of Oklahoma schools. And he's found himself in quite a pickle. He is being impeached. People are talking about impeachment against him at the very least. Let me just give you an idea of some of the things that he's doing right now. Just listen to this clip from him. This one is from mid-September 2024.
You know, I woke up this morning. It's Constitution Day. Such an exciting time to think about the Constitution and what it means for this country.
Okay, first of all, I've never heard of Constitution Day. But okay, sure, great. Second, I think about the Constitution every day. Do you not think about it every day? It doesn't sound like you're a very good American.
By protecting our rights with the separation of powers and checks and balances. But, you know, it's also just an incredibly sober thought that we've got to recognize that the radical left is trying to the Constitution.
Am I the radical left? Would you call me the radical left? I'm not trying to the Constitution. What are you talking about?
By President Trump. That is their...
They're trying... Are you serious right now? They're trying to... Okay, I'm sorry. One more time.
Recognize that the radical left is trying to the Constitution by President Trump. That is...
That's really funny he says that, because every shot taken at Donald Trump has been from a Republican, weirdly. Is that odd to anybody else? Almost as though Donald Trump whipped people into a blood frenzy and got them to the point where they were willing to take matters into their own hands and use violence to solve problems or whatever.
Trump. That is their attempt here. They want to President Trump in order to assassinate the Constitution so that our rights won't be protected. So
Like, I'm not sure how that would the Constitution anyway. What does Trump have to do with the Constitution? I'm really trying here. I'm on the struggle bus. Please, somebody help. What would an assassination attempt against him have to do with abolishing the Constitution? How are they kind of connected to each other?
Constitution, so that our rights won't be protected, so the country will cease to exist, so that the Justice Department can be weaponized against citizens, so that the elites will have power to run over any individual who doesn't share their beliefs.
Okay, I don't want to run anybody over. Funny he says that. Didn't Ron DeSantis not too long ago sign a bill into law that makes it easier for people to run over protesters and get out of legal trouble? What does any of this have to do with, like, assassination attempts or whatever? I don't understand.
And President Trump is the one standing between the American people and those radical Marxist leftists. And if they take him out, they're able to take the Constitution out. so important for us to remember that on Constitution Day, that the attempts to assassinate President Trump are attempts to assassinate the Constitution, and we cannot let the Marxists win.
I don't understand, man. I am so lost. I'm trying to connect dots desperately. If you don't remember this guy, let me give you a little bit of background real fast. He announced that he wants to force teachers to use Bibles as teaching materials in the classroom. This one is from June 27th, 2024.
We're going to make an important announcement today regarding the Bible and the Ten Commandments. My staff has been looking at Oklahoma statute. We've been looking at Oklahoma academic standards. And it's crystal clear to us that in the Oklahoma academic standards, under Title 70, multiple occasions, the Bible is a necessary historical document to teach our kids about the history of this country, to have a complete understanding of Western civilization, to have an understanding of the basis of our legal system.
I'm sure I don't need to say it. This is completely made up. The Bible had nothing to do with our legal system. Nothing. Intentionally. The only founding document that mentions God in any way is the Declaration of Independence, and that was from before the country was a country. Additionally, it wasn't in reference to God, really. It was in reference to our rights coming from outside of government, most importantly. Either way, where is he getting all of this?
And it's frankly, when we're talking about the Bible, one of the most foundational documents used for the Constitution and the birth.
No, it isn't.
Of our country.
No, that's just a lie. This guy was a history teacher. He knows that he's lying, right? He must.
We also find major points in history that refer to the Bible, that reference the Bible.
Look, if those moments in history happen and it's necessary to discuss the Bible's connection to what happened, like if Martin Luther King Jr. was Christian, which he was, and wrote in his speeches, quotes in the Bible, which he did, fine, mention it. That's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to force teachers to teach from the Bible during class time, like full-time Bible teaching. Turn it into a church service.
We see multiple figures, whether we're talking about the Federalist Papers, constitutional conventional arguments, and Martin Luther King Jr., who use it as a tremendous impetus for the civil rights movement and tie many of those arguments back to the Bible.
You think it's a little bit weird that while Martin Luther King Jr. was using the Bible to justify his civil rights arguments, the South, the KKK, was also using the Bible to justify their arguments, pointing out that the Bible justifies and endorses slavery?
It is essential that our kids have an understanding of the Bible and its historical context.
They can get that in church. Students are doing just fine without the Bible in the classroom.
So we will be issuing a memo today that every school district will adhere to, which is that every teacher, every classroom in the state will have a Bible in the classroom and will be teaching from the Bible.
Okay, every teacher in every classroom. So he's not talking about the historically relevant contexts in which the Bible is brought up, like Martin Luther King Jr. Quoting the Bible. He's not talking about that. It's not for history teachers. It's for teachers, including the math teachers, the home ec teachers, the everything, the shop class teachers. They all have a Bible that they all are mandated to teach from. They must teach from it. That's what he just said.
In the classroom, to ensure that this historical understanding is there for every student in the state of Oklahoma in accordance with our academic standards and state law.
Just disgusting stuff, man. Seriously. Well, it gets even more disgusting, believe it or not. He made an announcement, another announcement recently. This one is from late September 2024.
And so that $3 million ask is provided in the budget in front of you. That would be in conjunction with the $3 million that we're putting forth currently to provide Bibles in the classroom. So this would give us the ability to utilize $6 million in less than 2 years to ensure that the Bible hasn't been driven out of Oklahoma classrooms, and would be a significant step for the state of Oklahoma to ensure that we're not allowing the left to censor American history.
Okay. There you go. Well, the thing is, he's not trying to he's not trying to put the Bible into history classes. Again, it's in every classroom, first. And second, I find it so interesting that this is the hill he wants to die. He's fighting tooth and nail to get the Bible placed into classrooms, while his state is in 49th place, I believe, or 50th. I think it fluctuates. 49th or 50th place for educational standards or educational achievement or whatever. That means he sucks. He is a really bad administrator, manager, like awful. All he's thinking about is the Bible and getting it into more classrooms. Not thinking about things like this right here. Why didn't he pass something to get this stopped? This is from an Oklahoma school. Why didn't he investigate this situation? Pretended it didn't even happen. But we have Ryan Walters over here hiring Chaya Raichik to work for the Oklahoma school system. I don't remember in what capacity. Instead of looking into this whole situation with the students with the letters in front of them, what is he doing? This is written on September 16th, 2024 from Oklahoma City Free Press. It's just like a local Oklahoma paper. Reagan Killacky was goofing around with his son and daughter in a party supply store in September 2019, snapping photos. His daughter put on a mask of Donald Trump. His son held up a silver plastic sword, and Killacky grimaced. Killacky, a high school teacher, posted the family photos to his personal Instagram. Everything that we've read so far exonerates Killacky from any administrative action. If he's acting as a private citizen, he can say or do whatever he wants. It's when he's in the classroom that things become an issue, and he's never done anything questionable in the classroom. 5 years later, in the days following the attempted assassination of Trump at a campaign rally, an anonymous tipster sent a screenshot of the Trump mask photo to the Oklahoma Department of Education with a description. Posted picture on personal Instagram account of the fictitious stabbing of fake presidential candidate mask. The department took swift action and filed to take away Kilacky's teacher certification, the harshest discipline the department can take against an educator. The proceedings are typically reserved for serious offenses, such as child abuse, predatory behavior, or criminal charges. But in Kilacky's case, Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters prioritized punishing a teacher over political speech he disagreed with in order to score political points. The First Amendment prohibits disciplining a teacher for political speech made as a private citizen, multiple lawyers and free speech experts said. Quote, for Walters, who's attempting to build this profile of a patriotic American wrapped in a flag, this sort of behavior is about as un-American as it gets, said Ryan Kiesel, a civil rights attorney and former state representative. So, Ryan Walters is hyper aware of things like this happening. Just a single teacher snapping a photo on an Instagram or on his personal Instagram 5 years ago. He's aware of this one right here and others. There's one case where a teacher, I don't even remember what it was. It was just some stupid thing, just like this. And the teacher was basically fired, and they did the same thing with the other teacher. She moved to a different state, and he's still going after her teacher certification. So he'll do that for this stuff. But what about this? Doesn't care? What's going on here? Did this not make it to him? Did he just not see it? What happened? I happen to know that he almost certainly did see it because it's on his Twitter account in replies to pretty much everything that he posts about attacking teachers or whatever, because he's not doing anything about it. Here's another example of this guy and kind of his ideology that he brings with him everywhere. This one is from May 1st, 2023.
Or an issue, please send it over to us. But, you know, the teachers union, you know, I don't negotiate with the teachers union. They're a terrorist organization that is content.
A terrorist organization? So the teachers union is sending teachers around to terrorize you, to leave bombs in your mailbox or whatever, is what you're telling me? Words mean things, okay? Words matter. You can't just say anything and expect to be taken seriously.
Members,
Look, he's laughing at it. He's smiling. He thinks this is funny. This is what he wanted, to hurt people, to piss people off. Yeah, I said this in another video recently, but about Roseanne specifically. She is not just misinformed. Like with this guy, Ryan Walters, not just misinformed. It's not like our morals are actually completely aligned. We just have different ideas about how to get there. It's not like that. Like, I want students to be really well educated. Presumably, Ryan Walters wants them to be really well educated too, right? He just thinks that you got to use the Bible to do that. I don't believe that's the case with him. I don't think he wants students well educated. I think everything he does is bad faith. I think he knows what he's doing here, being a colossal scumbag, and he's doing it on purpose. Is he just like a vile scumbag intentionally, or is he more aligned with us? Just different strategies to get there.
Members, that has continued to spread misinformation around the state and lie about our administration. So, Speaker,
her question regarding your rhetoric was not about party alone. I don't want to speak for my colleague from Tulsa, but my view is when you talk about radical leftists, that is certainly partisan, and I do question how you see us coming together as a result of that kind of language. But you also talk about it in terms of American history and not teaching the bad side of it. But then this morning, before you came in here, you posted a video wherein you talk about how you'd like to put Bibles in all public schools. I grew up in a Christian church, and I still adhere to many of those beliefs. But it is not our job, and in fact, it is constitutionally prohibited for us to. I guess I'm curious what your definition of indoctrination is, because what you said in that video could absolutely be construed as an attempt to indoctrinate kids.
I appreciate his language here, but it couldn't absolutely be construed that way. It is an explicit attempt to indoctrinate kids. The Bible is not going to make kids perform better in algebra, and everybody knows that, including Ryan Walters. It's not about sides, though, really. This guy pointed that out. It's not about which side you're on, left or right. It's about the rhetoric. It's about the tactics. Like, if Roseanne were on the left, if Ryan Walters were on the left, I would be equally disturbed and appalled by them claiming that, you know, their enemies are vampires or they're a terrorist organization simply for just like running things and being normal human beings, just not indoctrinating children with stuff 24/7. That doesn't make anybody a terrorist. It's the rhetoric. It's the excitement over violence. It's like he's waiting for it. He's looking for an opportunity to inject violence into any political discussion. I wouldn't be okay with it if it were on my side, and I'm not okay with it now.
Yeah, you know, and I appreciate that question because it does illustrate that Democrats want to strike out any mentions of the Bible from our history.
Like what? What is he talking about? He's just flipping this around to be all about persecution. He's just being a shithead for no reason, right?
And make sure that our kids...
Yeah, he's not even answering the question. I do see, though, that he's a pocket square man, and I can appreciate that. That's dapper.
Real quick. Superintendent, I do not believe that. And if you could keep that out of your mouth while you answer my question, I'd appreciate it.
All right, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you for being here. Have a good day.
Thank you.
They're so afraid to try to see what I only did.
Just disgusting stuff, man. I'm really curious what she's saying to him, though, now. Hang on, let me see if I can amp this up here.
Thank you. They're so afraid to try to see what I only did.
Can't make it out. Anyway, just disgusting stuff, seriously. What is wrong with these people? What's going through their heads? Why is he like this? Why is he constantly a shithead to everybody around him? And why would anybody vote for a complete shithead for somebody that wants to like run Oklahoma schools? Is like the bullies have taken over the school system now. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. This dude's just bottom of the barrel vile, in my opinion. Next up, Julie Green says Trump needs to start listening to real prophets because God has a message for him. He's being misled by false prophets. The real prophet who has a message for him is Julie Green, of course. So let's talk about some of the times when she was egregiously and hilariously wrong. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
And so one of the things that God keeps saying to me over and over and over again, over and over, that he is going to bring back your father in unconventional ways. And he keeps saying that over and over and over again. We don't have to wait for a man's way of doing things like an election in order to bring somebody who is actually rightfully the elected president of the United States of America. I still call him president. I will never call Biden president because he's not. I don't know exactly how God's going to do it. He doesn't give me that type of information, but he does give me the fact that what he is going to do is he's bringing him back.
This woman on the left here is Julie Green. She is a prophet of Trump, prophesied that Trump is going to win in 2020, and was wrong, of course. Then prophesied he's going to win in 2024, all kinds of crazy stuff. She was talking to Eric Trump, of all people, and their conversation was nothing short of hilarious. Give this a listen. This one is from early September 2024.
And now you're seeing certain segments of the population, like the African-American segment of the population, who are coming out and saying they've done the same crap that they're doing to Donald Trump. They've done it to us for years. They've indicted us for nonsense. They've thrown the legal system at us. They haven't given us a chance. It's been a rigged system. They've literally made my father a martyr with certain segments of the population that they are.
These people are just vile.
Otherwise, claim to own. And
why I love seeing it, because there's so many prophetic words talking about this exact very thing. What God's been saying was going to happen is now unfolding.
Wait, what did God say was going to happen exactly? She's talking about a prophecy that she delivered, I don't know, a couple years ago or something, about how Trump was most definitely for sure going to win. And he was going to be, he's going to win the election in an unusual way and all kinds of crazy stuff. We'll get there. Keep listening.
That's why we are all sitting there and we're just standing here and we're just like, no matter what these people are doing, they are the ones who will be exposed. No matter what they're going to do and no matter what they're going to try to do to your dad, it will not go the way they want it.
Okay, she started out saying it will not work. And when he was indicted and then when he was convicted of all these charges, she changed it to now it's not going to do what they hoped for.
Will not go the way they want it because God's on his side. And he's called him his David. He's at his anointed, his appointed one. He said it more than once. He continually is.
He said it more than once. She means she has said it more than once.
He continually is say it. I've had so many different prophetic words regarding your father. Yeah. And the Lord, I've cried because I knew the love that God has for him, the love that God has for your family.
I mean, really think about this, okay? A so-called, a self-proclaimed prophet of God is sitting in a room literally crying while she thinks about Donald Trump. Who is that invested in anything? I gotta tell you, I've never cried over a political, figure or whatever. That is insane.
And I could just feel it. And it's like, he's not going to forsake you, and he's not going to let this continue. And no matter.
Now, Julie Green released a message basically saying she wants Trump to stop listening to false prophets and start listening to the real prophets. Her, of course. Listen to what she had to say. This one is from early September 2024.
To my David.
To Donald Trump is what that means.
You're not listening to the right strategist about how to end this war with the establishment. Only listen to me. I have sent prophets with my words. Some of your most trusted advisors have been keeping them from you.
So your advisor, I've been trying to contact you, Donald, And your advisors keep sending my emails to the spam folder. You need to get a hold of me because I have secrets to tell you.
And they're trying to keep you from hearing more from me. My David, you're a fighter. You have great strength. But this knowledge that I have for you, and the words and the strategies that I have for you are far beyond what you have heard. And what I have for you is guaranteed. It will crush your enemies rapidly.
So Julie Green has a plan. I'm sorry, God. I didn't mean to say that. My apologies, Julie. God has a plan for Donald Trump that he can use to crush his enemies. Okay. Well, let's have it.
You're missing something.
I mean, she's going to give us the plan, right?
You know it. This is the missing piece, and it's me, says the Lord. I am what you need.
Oh, it is so stupid.
I am what this nation needs. Open your heart and let me fully in so you can win, saith the Lord of hosts.
Oh my God, dude. This is so funny. Okay, so she wants people to listen to her, right? She wants Trump to get his messaging from God through her. All right, well, let's look at her track record in that case. See how reliable she is as a prophet. This is like the best example of a false prophecy that I think maybe I've ever seen before. Julie Green claims that Donald Trump is not going to be found guilty in his fraud charges with Stormy Daniels and all that, if you remember. This one is from May 29th, 2024. This is the day before his the jury decided on his fraud charges.
Breaking news will be heard that will rattle the enemy's camp. Innocent. This ruling will be heard.
Oops. Yeah, was not found innocent. People aren't found innocent anyway. She means not guilty. Trump was not found not guilty. The exact opposite, in fact.
The case has fallen apart. Their last-ditch effort did not
She's got to get it exact because, you know, God is giving her this message, so.
work for President Trump. They cannot put him in jail now as the last indictment falls apart.
But it didn't.
Watch how things dramatically take place to stop your election and my David from taking back the seat of the president. But your enemies cannot stop the freight train coming against them because it's me, saith the Lord of hosts.
Okay, so can I take that to mean that this is like a prophecy about 2024? Is she prophesying here? I'm going to count it. She's prophesying that Donald Trump's going to win in 2024, right? Yeah, and we'll come back to this in like 4 years and just have a good laugh. Okay, now, Trump very obviously was convicted, right? He was found guilty, I think, on all charges in the fraud case. So how did she react to that? Not well. 2 days later, on the 31st, the day after he's convicted, she said this.
He says, there will be no guilty verdict because there's no crime. He will not do any time behind their bars and their prisons.
Oh, now she's changing it. So he'll be found guilty because he is guilty, but he won't serve any time for it. Okay.
No, they will not get what they wanted. No, not at all. We can say, well, that was not true because there was a guilty verdict.
You can say that. And in fact, I do say that.
Look, he says there will be no guilty verdict because when somebody is exonerated, it's like it never existed in the first place.
What a piss poor attempt at justifying a false prophecy. Come on.
You can have a fake inauguration. Doesn't mean the person in that place is a real president. You can have a fake king to be coronated.
But she said Trump would get an innocent verdict. Remember? An innocent verdict. She is so full of it. Like every word out of her mouth is just trying to repair the fuck-ups that she did all along the way.
Doesn't mean he's actually king. You can have a fake verdict. It doesn't mean that person is actually guilty at all.
Oh my God, dude. She is so cringy. It is so painful. Okay, so what message is she trying to communicate to God? I'm sorry, to Donald Trump from God? Well, she won't tell us because it's a secret, of course. But she gives us a little glimpse here. Check this one out. This is late September 2024.
They will set off earthquakes. They will set off volcanoes and insane weather. They will set off political windfall.
Who is they?
They will set a political windfall. They will set off the markets in a catastrophic fall. The oceans are roaring and a tsunami will be reported, not only a natural one, but a political tsunami wave will hit your enemies like never before.
I'm going to take that as a claim that Trump's going to win 2024 also, right? I mean, she's saying the enemy will fail, like, I don't know, a couple of months before the election.
Putin will make an announcement that will destroy the establishment's propaganda and their plans against him and the United States. I told you there are foreign leaders against you.
I just find it so fascinating how Trump supporters, how like Republicans have effectively completely embraced Russia at this point, right? And seem to think that like Putin is just the best guy alive. It blows me away that they're praising a dictator to this degree. And it's not clicking with them. How absolutely insane that is.
But there are foreign nations and its leaders that are supportive allies. The land of my eagle. To help bring
the land of my eagle, she says. Okay.
Help bring down the globalists. Putin's next moves will shock the world. He has truth that your enemies thought they had killed and buried.
Okay. He has truth that we're waiting for. Great. Let's see it. Any second, right? She is such a colossal joke. It's just like, how does anybody believe a word out of her mouth anymore? I don't understand. Yeah, here you go. So this one is from 2022, early December 2022. Another conversation with Eric Trump, and she has a secret message here for Eric.
And so one of the things that God keeps saying to me over and over and over again, over and over, that he is going to bring back your father in unconventional ways. And he keeps saying that over and over and over again. We don't have to wait for a man's way of doing things like an election in order to bring somebody who is actually rightfully the elected president of the United States of America. I still call him president. I will never call Biden president because he's not. I don't know
Okay, well, you're just wrong.
exactly how God's going to do it. He doesn't give me that type of information, but he does give me the fact that what he is going to do is he's bringing him back.
No, he gives you zero information, actually.
And I don't know how he's going to do that. I just know can't wait to see them fall. And I can't wait to see what God is going to do with you. So,
wow, that's fascinating. So let's see, this is 2022, December 2022. So we're looking at like years down the line now. And Trump has not been put back, quote unquote.
if that's okay.
I would love it. That's beautiful. And
Wants to pray for him.
by the way, I believe it 100%.
She's so happy that he believes her.
Okay, I want to pray. So, Heavenly Father, right now in the name of Jesus, we just lift up Eric and we lift up his entire Trump family to you, Father God. We just want to praise you. We want to thank.
It's so like just disgusting watching her. What's the word here? Gushing. That's it. It's so gross to watch her gush over Eric Trump saying that he believes her 100%. Oh my God. God, she's got some really good clips. And it's like anybody that Donald Trump is targeting in any given moment is her target. And now God is prophesying about this person. It's almost like Donald Trump is leading God around by the nose, almost. Like right here, like this one. This is from late October 2022, right before the 2022 midterm elections. She got a message from God just out of nowhere.
My children, many warnings I have given to you, but there is coming a day that it will be too late. So listen to these words and listen to my prophets. And dare to believe me.
Literally crying right now.
More than your enemies. More than religion. More than the news stations. More than the governments. More than your doctors.
This is, God, she's crying right now. That is insane.
More than your bank accounts. Dare to believe me more than what you see and what you hear. Herschel Walker will be in the news and victory will be with his name.
See what I'm saying? God is following Donald Trump around and the things that interest Donald Trump. That's weird, right? Why would God be following Donald Trump around like that? And getting things wrong. Herschel Walker lost.
Civil unrest is about to occur. It will look like, oh, United States. Your enemies will see their defeat in all the states they tried so desperately to steal, and they lost anyway. They will try other ways to stop the lame duck. But that lame duck is being removed by me.
She's saying lame duck like there's some secret message in here or something. Like, what? And also, what was that?
Your enemies will see their defeat in all the states they tried so desperately to steal.
Well, that's just wrong. See, the enemy, quote unquote, Democrats, they actually won a bunch of seats in Congress in 2022. So another prophecy fail. Like, she just keeps on going. Like, every word out of her mouth is incorrect. It's a prophecy fail every time. This is a classic. This is the one that like kind of introduced me to Julie Green. I had never heard of her before. This one is leading up to the 2022 midterm elections. Also, this is mid-August 2022. She has some prophecies about it.
They know Nancy can't handle the presidency. No, they know she's a drunk, but they know she is dying.
Who is they, I hear you asking? In all seriousness, when she says they, what she's talking about is a deep state cabal of blood-drinking, vampiric people who take advantage of children, for lack of a better term. So she says Nancy Pelosi was assigned to this position by the cabal, and she failed them, and now she's a drunk.
And they helped with that. They are now disposing of anyone they feel is no longer useful to them. She failed the puppet masters with her 2 impeachments that didn't work. No assignment in anything they gave her against Trump, it didn't work. So now she is seen as a failure. Her days are coming to an end.
I wish I knew why God's grammar was so piss poor. Didn't he invent grammar? Why does he not know how to use it?
And she will not last until the 2020 midterm elections.
Oops. Another false prophecy claims that Nancy Pelosi will not make it to the 2022 midterm elections. She's going to die first. She said 2020. We know what she meant. Nancy Pelosi is going to die before the election happens. And look at that. She's fine. Interesting, huh? It's just fail after fail after fail with these people. How can they show their faces in public anymore? It's just insane. I don't get it. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. And take a look at my YouTube channels. Owen Morgan, where I talk about religious issues. Telltale Fireside Chat, where I talk about politics. Telltale Unfiltered, where I do long-form breakdowns of stuff like this, and take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.